Hello, we're here recording Social 101, Episode 3, The Pitfalls of Social Media. And I'm here with Holly Homer. She is a professional blogger. She has 4 full-time employees supporting her largest blog, kidsactivityblog.com. Her Facebook page supporting it, Quirky Mama, has over 2.3 million fans. She's been working with Nu Skin since last August, and I have gotten to get to know Holly since last fall as one of our main social influencers. So welcome, Holly. We're excited to have you.
Thank you. This is a treat today. This will be fun.
It's going to be fun. So here's some of the questions that we want you to be able to teach everyone. How can you best manage your time when you're on social media?
I think this is probably one of the things I get the most crazy passionate about because I think one of the things that, people, especially in Nu Skin lately, they're like, we've got to be on social media. Everybody's got to be on social media. But what that means is very different to different people. Because I know, if social media means job, that's what I do for a living. But for, the average mom who, lives maybe in Texas, next door to me, social media means, I'm on Facebook, I do some pinning, I watch my kids on Snapchat. So, where that fits into Nu Skin, I think can be really, really challenging because, you can get on Facebook and, one thing leads to another, and all of a sudden you're looking at the wife of the guy you dated in, high school. So how does that happen? It's one thing leads to another. And then what does that mean to put value into your business? Because that's really what we're saying is hey, you need to be on social media, is bring that value of those connections to your business. And so I think we could go back to kind of the traditional, way that Nu Skin has been sold in the past and then apply that online. Because one of the strengths, and we'll talk about this in a few minutes about, kind of followings and stuff like that, but one of the strengths that Nu Skin has over, Nordstrom's beauty, counter is the relationships that you have with your friends and family and acquaintances. That's what Nordstrom doesn't have. And that's why you're able to go out and say, look at these amazing products. I love them. Or, I know you. I know you're going to love this. And then it's not even sale. It's
Right.
not salesy at all because you know your friend, you know that they're perfect for what you have to offer. You connect the two and it's amazing. And that could be whether that's, sales of products, creating yourself some customers or sales or, bringing people or partners in to your organizations to also do the same thing. Well, so when we take that online, it's the same thing. You have those connections just like you have in real life. So you might have your very best friends on that front line of, the people that come and anytime you post on Facebook, they're the first ones to give it a thumbs up or put in their 2 cents in the comments. And then you can use that just like you would in real life to help bolster your business, whether that be matching people online or offline with products or with a business opportunity. And so I think where a lot of time gets just wasted and effort just thrown down the toilet is when people start trying to collect followers versus make connections. And because a follower, what's a follower? A follower could be, some guy that put up 20 accounts that lives in a basement in Canada, and you just happen to collect one of his, spam accounts into your followers. You're never going to sell that person. You're never going to bring that person into the business. You're never going to interact with that person on a high level. That's just wasted time and effort in your sphere of influence. So what you really want to do is think about just creating an extension of your offline influence online. And you do it the same way. I think a lot of us who have been in the space for a long time and we see, newbies coming in, and I know you guys have talked about this, one of the most cringeworthy things that we see is everybody pushing forward with a sales message. Like you wouldn't do that in real life. Like you wouldn't come up to me and be like, I have this business opportunity for you. It's the best thing you've ever seen. Yeah, it might be the best thing forever. And it might be the greatest business opportunity in the same, but you wouldn't approach someone in real life that way. You don't approach people, and you absolutely don't approach people online, because unlike real life, where they would have to, kind of gently get out of the conversation, online, they just delete you. Like, that's it. You're over. Like, you got one chance. That's it. You're blocked forever and ever. Amen. So really what I want you to think about is just fostering those connections you already have online and tending to them in a way that you would do whether they were online or offline. So I think getting back to kind of, the original question about time suck is if you're just out collecting followers, then that can be a huge time suck, because, to collect followers, you need to be posting regularly, doing all the right things to attract random strangers to you. And why would you spend all that amount of time when you already have friends and friends of friends, just like you look for offline? And why not create an environment where your friends and friends of friends are interested, and then let that grow organically? And so, I think the other thing is people feel like, I need to be on social media, so I need to be on Facebook, I need to be on Pinterest, I need to be on Instagram, I need to be on Twitter, I need to be on, whatever, Snapchat, how are you going to manage all that? And how are you going to manage all that and not lose your offline business? So choose where your people are, where you have some knowledge base. And generally, for most of us, that means Facebook. And, if it's hard to leverage some of these other platforms like Pinterest unless you have, a blog that you can send traffic to. Instagram is a real good one for a lot of us. We have just a natural, need to send, pictures of our daily life out there. So we already have a community there. That's where your friends are already hanging out with you. So wherever your friends are already hanging out with you, that's where I would start. And then I would just start integrating your new skin message just like you do with anything else in your life. If you went on vacation, you'd post vacation photos. If you sell new skin, you talk about the benefits of what that's doing for you and not send out those sales messages. And that's where I think a lot of people get into trouble is that just that salesy push. So what I would do in the very beginning, especially as you're starting to kind of build up your social media, is to set a timer. I'm going to work on social media or Facebook, or I'm going to send 10 messages today. So anyway, what I would do is just start budgeting your time on social media, just like you would budget anything else in your life. So, if you're going to spend 2 hours on new skin today, 30 minutes of that is going to be, social media, and the other hour and a half is going to be doing what you normally do. And you're wanting to probably add this in at first, because the ROI is going to be a little bit lower than those handshakes in real life until you start kind of realizing, oh, this is how it's easy for me to phrase this, or this is how my friends are really receptive to it and thumb it up when I mention something like that. And that's a learning process, and none of us run out of the box knowing how to do that.
Yeah.
We can take tips from things like this, which I think are wonderful to get us a head start in that direction. But it comes down to it. I'm not posting on your Facebook profile. You are. I don't know your friends. You do. Like, so start leveraging things that you know that they would love. I think one of the fun things we've talked about before is, kind of everybody loves a story. So anytime you can create a story line around what you want to like expose them to, or let them know, like a whitening toothpaste, talk about what happened when you used it or something like that. And obviously there's guidelines for all that to make sure that it's, compliant and all that kind of thing. But that's a really easy story. And then you're not like, buy my toothpaste.
Yeah. And using your own story is always going to be more powerful than spending your time looking at other people's content and just sharing theirs, maybe, where you can learn from other people. But I'm sure then finding your own story is always going to be the most powerful.
You're never going to get to that deeper level of friendship and connection online with other people's stories. Like that will get your foot in the door, but unless you're backing that up with what you have to say, then you're setting yourself up for failure, because then you're always relying on other people to create that content for you when it's and I hate to say content, because what we're asking you to do is just share your life just like you're doing offline. So I think the main thing is to really take, kind of look at what you're spending, your time on, and what is that ROI. And at the beginning, that's very low ROI. So why don't we start with a learning curve process, so that as you learn, then you start, spending more time on it, so that time is more efficient and that time is more quality time there.
Yeah, and it seems like then people wouldn't get as frustrated. If you go in it knowing that your ROI is going to be a little less, if you've spent 8 hours, on social media and nothing happens, you're probably going to be frustrated. But if you've timed it and scheduled it appropriately to ramp up, then I can see how ramping up makes a lot of sense. Instead of wasting your time, you're spending it appropriately as it's ramping up, and you're learning and building those relationships.
Yeah, and I think a lot of times we think, I'm broadcasting to my followers. No, you're writing to a friend. You're writing to one person. You're hoping that one person will like what you said. They'll interact with you and let it snowball from there. So I posted to my Facebook page and I haven't sold a thing. Okay. That's probably, yes, you're right. You probably didn't sell a thing, because it's not like you don't just walk up to someone at the mall and say, here's toothpaste. You're much better off going over to your best friend's house and be like sitting at her kitchen table over a cup of coffee and say, oh my gosh, I have to show you these 3 products that are just going to change your life. Let me tell you what they did for me. And that's the whole thing that needs to translate from that kitchen table to your Facebook page. And that's the power of social media, is when you can figure out how to have that conversation at the kitchen table translate to your Facebook page, then you're not just hitting your best friend. You're able to do that to multiple people. And then each one of those is an individual relationship. You're never relating to everybody at once.
I love that. And one thing that you said that I think really is important is friends versus followers. For what we do with network marketing, which is different from your kids' activity blog, friends are key, not followers. Right. You've got to have relationships and friends instead of just people who are following you, right?
Right. So, and I know, this is a hard one, because when you think about, followers are scalable, but friends are not. You know what I mean? And in order to be on that front line of sales, your friends are way more valuable than your followers. Because, and we talked about Nordstrom's beauty counter earlier, but Nordstrom's beauty counter doesn't have friends. You do. That's your edge over Nordstrom's beauty counter. Nordstrom's beauty counter has followers. So, and you know what? On a follower at Nordstrom's beauty counter, they have a conversion rate of probably between 5 and 8% sales. So, but you at the kitchen table with your best friend or a group of friends that maybe you're in a play group with, your conversion rate is way higher than 5 to 8% because you have a relationship with that. And so that's where you can choose. I could spend a whole bunch of time with my friends and get a conversion rate that could be, that Nordstrom's beauty counter just, drools at. Like, you could potentially have an 80% conversion rate on sales with your friends. Whereas if you were just talking to a group of people who might happen across the information that follow you, we're talking 5 to 8% conversion rate there. So where is your time better spent? It's better spent at that kitchen table, or if you can translate that same conversation to your personal sphere of influence online, that's when things get really exciting, because then you are able to talk to more than one or two people that you could get into your kitchen at a time.
I love that. I know another thing that you and I have talked about is sometimes people spend time and money doing like paid ads in social media. And first, let me say that's against our policies, so don't do it. But here's an even better reason why we shouldn't do it. Holly, we've talked about like why we shouldn't do that.
Yeah. And it goes back to, do you want to compete with Nordstrom's for that 5 to 8%? You don't, because I promise you Nordstrom's advertising budget is way bigger than yours. And you know what? They're also hiring the best and brightest in the advertising world to take the most gorgeous pictures and make the most compelling ad copy. So do you really want to go up against them when you're spending your money? When you could throw a party at your house with a fraction, like get some food, spend $40, have some friends over, and sell crazy amounts of product, or bring on new business prospects that isn't even close to what you could touch with, $1,000 online on a paid budget. It just, the ROI on that paid will never, ever, 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 ever than the people that are already in your life and know and love you and trust you to connect them with something that they can't live without. And that's what this business is all about.
And is there a good way, you've talked kind of about, sitting with your friends or playgroup moms or hosting a party at your house. What's a good way to kind of transition that offline and online and that relationship together to make sure that you're getting the best use of that time as well?
Yeah, so the thing is, those, especially if you're just getting started in kind of exploring what you can do online. I would enlist a few of your really good friends that offline that would tell you the truth and say, hey, would you take a look at my Facebook page today and see what I posted? Did that sound like me? Did that sound like something that would engage you? Or did that kind of put you off, like I'm trying to hard sell you? Our friends and family do not want to be hard sold. Luckily our friends and family will tell us the truth about that. So we need to enlist that, kind of feedback early on, so that you're telling a story that's more inspiration and attraction versus I'm pushing this at you. And for everyone, that is going to be a little different. And that's why we can't, why Kathy can't just say, here's the 10 best things to say on Facebook. Wow, that would be amazing if we all had the 10 best things to say on Facebook. But just like every single, group that's and that's why we have leaders, and that's why we have different groups that do things completely different. And guess what? It's all successful because they know their audience, we would say online, but basically they know their friends and family and are talking to them. And guess what? When you are talking to your friends and family in a way that they're like eating it up, you're going to attract more friends, not more family, hopefully, unless that's something you're wanting. But like, that's where we're talking about the attraction, where you're having so much fun with this and they're engaging in it because it's fun and it's uplifting and you're inspiring them to do things that they wouldn't have done, whether that's within Nu Skin or not. And I think that's something that's so important, is that you want to celebrate their success and you want them to celebrate your success even if it doesn't benefit you financially. And when you have that kind of, charisma online, then people are attracted to that and want to learn more. But you can't get there by being selfish and I'm going to sell this to you whether you want it or not. That's just never going to go anywhere. And people can smell that desperation through a computer screen a mile away.
I love that. I feel like we have really like touched on some awesome things and like I had other questions, but I think we've hit all of the questions about friends versus followers and how your influence is the most powerful, and it's not most powerful in numbers, like you said, it's most powerful in those relationships, in being real, and in simply celebrating success in relationships. I love that. Did you have any other thoughts, on other pitfalls of social that maybe I've missed asking?
Yeah, I think we really, really, really got to go back to the basics on a lot of this stuff and stop with the kind of the shiny object syndrome where, like I would be able to sell X if I had Y. You know what I mean? Like, no, it really comes down to you and your business, or, well, if somebody had shown me how to do this on social media, then I would be at the top of this game, but nobody showed me. No, like all the people that you see successful in this business sat down and had a conversation with themselves about how that's going to work. And you know what? They failed probably 1 million times before they hit on something that worked for them. And, and they'll tell you stories about how, I know at the convention, I love it. He rented a hall. I can't remember who it was. He rented a hall and nobody came. Yet he got up the next day and still did the business. And you know what? He's at the top of the game because he did what no one else would do. And so on social media, it's hard because you are failing at that in front of an audience. Whereas when you're just doing that one-on-one, like you can like deny it ever happened. It's just one other person's story. But on social media, it's just not that way. If I throw something out there that is a huge failure on my Quirky Mama Facebook page, there is the possibility of 2.3 million people seeing that. And so what happens is a lot of times that gives us the excuse to slip back and stop, or slip back and just do the safe thing. Well, nobody ever, gets to the top of their game doing either of those. And so, and you know what? There are guidelines, and there's obviously things that, you can and can't do because you're in the Nu Skin umbrella, but there are no, like the 10 perfect posts. But you could come up with the 10 perfect posts for your audience, or you could look around and see what's working for other people, and then don't take it, don't share the exact same thing. Tweak it for your people. They're your people. You know them.
Yeah.
You know them better than some random, other distributor that you saw post that. And never like the way, and I know the way our Quirky Mama Facebook page grew, and I speak on Facebook organic growth all the time. at social media conventions because we grew 1 million fans in 1 year, completely organic, no paid. And the way we did that was to throw out all the social media guru advice because those social media gurus are not in the trenches of running Facebook pages. They have staff. And so you've got to do what's best for you with intention. Every single thing you do, online or off, for this business needs to be intentional. And then when you fail at it, because you will repeatedly, that, you know what, that is almost a better lesson than if you had succeeded. Because when you fail at something, you're going to go back and analyze it much more intently than when you succeed at something. So those failures that if you're doing things with intention and then going back and analyzing them, that's where the key to this is, because that's the missing link of what everybody else is doing. Just, I'm supposed to post 3 times a day. Okay, here's a picture, here's a link, here's a product information. Why did you post those things? Like, why? Like, what were you trying to accomplish in that? Like, let's stop just randomly posting and start figuring out, hey, I'm going to post a picture today because I really want to inspire the people that follow us. So I want to go out and I want to find something that really speaks to me, that really will motivate and help, maybe someone else will come across it and really realize where my heart is today for motivation. Okay. I had a great experience with the mud mask. This is something that I want to tell that story today. And did you know, where this mud comes from and how, you couldn't make this out of your backyard? Why don't we tell that story with the next post? And then let's figure out you know what? Maybe I want to talk a little bit about how now I'm working towards my goal of working from home completely. When you start looking at everything you post as an advertisement for what they can expect from you in the future, then you're going to look more intentionally at what you're throwing out there. And then, let's say nobody interacts with one of those posts, at all, crickets. You know what? Then you can go back and say, I wonder why that is. Was I kind of, did the wording not come across right? Online people have no tone. So you might say something that's super funny in your head, and then it comes off as mean. And I'm dealing with that a lot lately because they're especially in that parenting space right now, there's a lot of kind of snarky articles that, I get, I think that's so funny. Oh, haha, I get that bad day and, how you're irritated at your kids. But you know what? Someone else could read the exact same article and be like, oh my gosh, that woman's having a bad day and she hates her kids, because they don't hear the tone or they don't get the translation. And so that's where kind of that failure happens a lot of times at the beginning, because you want to be fun and upbeat and happy and funny, but sometimes that doesn't translate. And that's where that feedback, where looking at who's interacting with you, what they're saying. And I've done this probably more on my personal profile than even my page, is I've gone back and delete it because it didn't sound like me when you just cold read it. When I wrote it, I had all this context in my head, but the person reading, that 2 sentences didn't have all that context, and it came off way different than I thought it did.
I think that's another area, as you said, that followers and friends are different. My friends know me well enough to probably know when I'm being snarky and when I'm being, and hopefully they know I love my kids enough that when I say that, it's not bad. But followers don't know that. But your friends, don't know that. As long as you're really being real, your friends should be able to feel more of your personality, as long as, like you said, you're true to your personality and you're giving it that right context and feel.
And that's why you want to start with your friends, because you want to attract more people like them because they get you. Right. And if you're just collecting random strangers who you might say something to, and then you get a bunch of comments well, that seems mean, or what are you trying to do? Just sell me on something? like because they don't know you, they don't know your heart. But, as you grow from the middle of the core of support that you already have, people feel that community because they get to know you better, that you can be yourself. You don't have to be on guard so much.
Yeah.
Because you're speaking to people who know you.
I love that. I feel like we've really covered a lot and it's been so awesome. And I absolutely just adore you. And I'm so glad that you just bathe us with your knowledge.
Oh, there's a bath. Here's water. I have one more thing.
Yeah.
I will say. So I know you don't want to turn on that video camera and talk. I know that. Like, I get that. Like, I understand, maybe your hair doesn't look great today. Maybe, you have a zit. I don't know. Like, I get that, especially, and I've had to get over myself on this, especially when we're dealing with, skincare and healthy. So you're like, if I don't look tip top, I cannot do a video. But you know what? That is not real life. In order for us to go out and show ourselves and be ourselves in whatever setting, is people have to meet us like as the genuine us. And so one of the hottest things in social media right now is video, because it gives you that interaction like you would have in real life, as close as you can make it. And so I feel like I know Kathy, even though we've hugged once in our life, because we've been on video before, we've chatted, I know her because of that, even though a year ago, we wouldn't have, we would have not even known each other's names. But that's one of the power of this technology we have. And you can use this kind of technology offline, like in Skype, to talk to someone one-on-one so that you know them, even though they're in another country or in another part of the world. But so you need to be thinking about how you can integrate video, like on your Facebook page. They now have your Facebook profile now has Facebook Live. If you have a business page, you also have Facebook Live. If you're not comfortable with Live, although I would say get comfortable with Live, because it is the future, and it also it makes you do it without checking all the checklists of being perfect, going back and cutting out what you don't like. That saves you a lot of editing. You don't have any choice; it's out there. Or if you want to get started on just video on your phone, and that's what I do. I use just reverse the camera on my phone so I can make sure I'm in the middle, and I talk to it. Use my headphones so the sound is good. And just talk to your people and tell them what you're thinking, and bring it from your heart. And that's how people are going to get to know you, and that's how you turn those followers into friends. So get over yourself and just start doing it. Unfortunately, there's no way to learn video, especially live video, except by turning on the camera. So don't go back and look at my early ones, but they're there, because that's the lesson here, is no one's good at it the first 20 times, 30 times they do it, but that's part of the learning process, and that's part of being a master at what you're doing.
Yeah, I love that. And I do think there's a lot of power in video because of the personal and the tone. You're not going to have
you get the tone. People get you.
Yeah, and you see smiles and you interact, and I love that. And I do think it's one of the most powerful things that we have at our fingertips right now in social media. Mm-hmm. I agree completely. Other parting thoughts?
No, I think the main thing is what we've said this whole time is leverage what you already have, and don't think that what you don't have is important. And I think what you may not realize is that if I said ready, set, go, and let's both sell 3 products this morning, and you walk next door to your next door neighbor with 3 products, and I posted those 3 products on my Facebook page to 2.3 million people, I promise you would win that. And so don't be grasping for what you're assuming other people are being successful at. I would have a better chance walking next door to my neighbor too. And so that's where we need to start, instead of the excuses of, oh, my Facebook page only has 20 people. You have 20 people on your Facebook page, they probably all know you. Like you like run with that. Like stop with the I can't do it until. Do it today, because that's where the success is.
I love that. I think that is perfect. Thank you so much for getting on with us, for doing your beautiful hair and makeup, to be on.
I know I did do my hair this morning.
So we really appreciate it, and we will talk soon.
That sounds great. Thanks, Kathy.